2017. It is now 6:06. Welcome to the special meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners. And if I can just begin by telling everyone here, I'm sure many people know generally why we're meeting, but we had chosen to have this special meeting to address some staffing concerns that were brought to our attention last week by members of our department. And we were concerned for their safety and looking to immediately redeploy people to fill some essential vacancies that we need to address. And some of those vacancies that we were looking at were officers on special assignment. And there are 2 officers assigned to SRO positions and 1 to a position that's called Statewide Narcotics Task Force. Although our agenda doesn't have a section on public comment, it was certainly our intention to have public comment. So if I can just get a rough idea of how many people wish to address the board in public comment tonight. Okay, not as many as I thought. So do you have a piece of paper that people can sign up just to have some order?
Right there, there's a clipboard right there.
If you just pass it around. I'm sorry? Sure. What? Sure. Well, I don't know if I want to do it. Whoever signs it. Actually, I'll let you go first. So when you come up, if I can just have you state your name, and if you have a particular position in town, that would be helpful. Sure, that's why we don't have nameplates. If you want to introduce yourself.
We'll introduce ourselves because we don't have the name tag. So
Steve Felsigno.
Matthew Gilbride.
Robert Burke.
Deborah Desir.
Frank Capiello, Police Chief.
Ray Stewart, Deputy Police Chief.
Janice Innocenzi, Administrative Assistant.
Andy Esposito, Board of Finance.
Dr. Gilbert. Welcome.
Thank you. And thanks to all who are in the audience tonight. Thank you for allowing me to address you folks. First, I just want to say that I really appreciate this opportunity for some comment here, and I'll be brief in my remarks. I know we're all trying to work together in the spirit of cooperation, which, as I've come to understand in my short 8 months here, is a trademark of Woodbridge, and working together, the different boards, the Board of Education, and all of us. So I appreciate that very much. I also know that we're not only trying to address the safety needs of our students at Beecher Road School, as well as Amity High School, but we're also wanting to make sure that we ensure the safety needs of our police force too. And we do recognize that as well. And it's in that spirit of cooperation together that we recognize the challenges, and we appreciate the great job the police force does, and also the dedication of this commission. I just want to go on record saying that safety and security is paramount. Safety and security comes before anything else we do, before learning can even take place. I think our students, our parents, our families have come to expect that at Beecher Road. It gives a reassurance, peace of mind, and I'm referring to obviously having the SRO on site. Our SRO, who is Vinnie Lynch, but the position, and Vinnie does a great job of it. It's a multifaceted job. There's many aspects to what he does and what the position offers and what that does to ensure what we need. And I'm just going on record to say that we have many safety protocols and processes that we just really can't disrupt immediately in such a quick fashion. And so, we want to see what we have, the status quo, remain. We think that's important. We think that's the right thing. And if we need to play out how we're going to go about making sure it happens in the future, we'll certainly enter into dialogue, both as a board ourselves as well as anybody at the town. But we think that what we've got is really important, and we're looking forward to maintaining that. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Margaret Hamilton, 28 Park Lane, Chair of the Board of Education. And I really, Bob really said everything that I wanted to say as well. Vinnie Lynch is an important part of our community, not only as safety and security person, but as someone the kids know and love and feel close to. We do understand completely the safety of our children and the safety of our officers is something that we need to address together. And I just wanted to say I appreciate the difficulties that you're addressing, and I know that together we can figure out what makes sense so that our officers are safe, our children are safe, and our community feels good about what we're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is it okay?
Sure.
Thanks. I hope my voice holds out. Thank you. I wrote it down. Good evening. My name is Beth Heller, 6 Hunters Ridge, and I'm Deputy First Selectman in Woodbridge. I'm here this evening to request that the Board of Police Commissioners retain the position of School Resource Officer both at Beecher and also at Amity High School. In a world of uncertainty and fear, children and their parents need to know that our children are safe at school. I do understand that you also have conflicts because of the officers and keeping our town safe as well. Yes, we have added physical security to our buildings, but safety is more than locks and practice drills. Seeing a police officer at a school is a deterrent to anyone who might do harm to our children, and a reassuring presence to children and faculty. Most importantly, the presence of an SRO on site could be critical to the outcome if an officer is needed in an emergency. Thank you for all the work you do. Thank you to the officers, chief, assistant chief, everyone here. Balancing the needs of our community is your concern for the safety of our officers and your respect for taxpayers. Even in these difficult times, Woodbridge needs to make the investment for the safety of our children. I realize this is not an easy job, and I deeply appreciate your efforts to achieve this balance and serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Waxman. I am a parent at Beecher Road School. I represent a small group of parents from the school. In addition to supporting everything that has been said before, we would like to leave signatures, a petition that we started a few days ago that is still growing, and just leave it with you guys to review. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Bob McSherry, 12 Old Country Road. Taking SROs out of school is a huge mistake. I would implore the police commission. Frank, I understand your tough times. I think it's a big mistake. Take them out. Teach kids at a young age. They can go up to a police officer and talk to them and engage with them and all that. I have a son in Beecher and another one about to head into the high school. My kid likes Vinny better than pizza. I mean, so he looks forward to high-fiving him every day and all that. But I would sincerely hope you guys can find a way around this. While I sit here, though, I'd like to talk to the Board of Finance. And Andy's the only one here. I wish Mr. Giglietti was, because his comments back on January 31st were pretty disturbing. How one man thinks he can run this town de facto. We understand the taxes got to be kept low and all that. But the safety of the officers is paramount. And goddamn it, the safety of the kids are too. So I would implore the Board of Finance to find a little conscience here. Because I don't know what the thought of the Board of Finance director is, but that guy's out of his mind. So, sorry I get a little shaky when I get ticked. But I'm originally from Bethany. And we dealt with the same thing with a Board of Finance chair that thought that he ran the town. He's gone. I hope Woodbridge follows the same after the election. Thank you.
You know what, I don't want to speak for Matthew, but I kind of think it's inappropriate to really go after him when he's not here to defend
I wish he
himself.
was here, Andy.
Then maybe you should, we have a meeting Thursday night.
Oh,
Why
I'll
don't you
be
come to
there.
the Board of Finance meeting and
Don't worry.
state it then.
You should think twice about what you think too, Andy. Shame on you.
Folks, this is public comment. We certainly appreciate everyone's position, but I would ask that you not use profanity or make personal
I
attacks.
apologize about that, but it's public comment.
No, I understand
Not
that.
from the peanut gallery either. So Mr. Esposito should know a little bit of decorum.
I would just ask everyone to have respect. I certainly appreciate everyone's position.
Yep.
There's one guy that knows the form, Andy Esposito.
Sean Rowland, 67 Center Road. I'm also the Woodbridge Fire Chief. I'd like to talk about a couple things. I just want everybody to know that the police department is top-notch. They act with professionalism and everything every day. We were out on a call last night up on West Rock with a couple climbers. They were up there, supported this, that, the other thing. So we do have an excellent police department in town, number one. Number two, to take somebody like Vinny or Scott Prentice out of the high score Beecher is a complete mistake. I mean, when we go there, whether it be for a fire alarm or something else, Vinny's usually right there, or Officer Prentice is right there and giving us the lowdown, what's going on and everything else. On top of that, it's also good when we go to accident scenes or fire calls or whatever else, and we see these guys out there, the kids have somebody to relate to other than the fire department or anything else. It's good to have them relate to a police officer, so they'll open up to either them or to us as firemen. So you have to look at the bigger picture. It's not strictly only for safety. There's a lot more what they do than what's actually shown here, but safety is paramount. Safety is paramount at Beecher, and safety is paramount at the high school. So I think everybody can work through this. I just don't think that's a position right now or in the future we're going to want to step away from or walk away from, because with everything that's going on in the world, I'd rather have somebody there that can handle a situation rather than waiting for a 911 call to come in, getting dispatched, and then getting help over there. I think this board and the town needs to realize how paramount that safety is, and what every resident here really believes, that having a cop in the school is really a good thing. And I think we all have a little bit of a peace of mind that somebody is there. And I think that's what we should really consider, not the budget right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lauren Esposito. I have 4 children at Beecher Road School.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name.
Lauren Esposito. I just wrote some notes, so I'm good. No relation, and I often get asked. No, but I often get asked, and I decline. So, but we've never met. So. Okay, so I'm just going to read from notes because I don't public speak. Okay, so when Officer Lynch was first placed into our school, Dr. Stella assured us that he was here to stay. So that really brought so much comfort to me, because I just feel like he's such an important piece of our school. I too did watch the finance video from your meeting, and I was just a little bit upset. Someone had said that they were unsure about what Officer Lynch did in the course of the day, and he does so many wonderful things for our students. Not only keeps them safe, but is a wonderful role model. My children look up to him. He comes into the classroom and just does a lot of nice things with the kids. And also something else that was said was someone said at that meeting that it was a rather large school for one officer to patrol. So I just felt that those were contradicting statements that were made. So I wasn't really sure how the individual felt about that. I don't know that he's here to speak about it, but it was just a little bit upsetting. It was also stated, and I agree with this 100%, that when you do pull up to a school and you see a police car there, it is a large deterrent. And that's a huge thing. I love pulling up to the school and seeing the police car. It makes me feel safe to send my children in, and I just love to see that. It sends a very strong message, and I think that that strong message needs to be continued. I really don't want a tragic incident to happen in order for him to be replaced. If God forbid something did happen, the first thing that would happen was an officer would be placed back into the school. I'd rather continue the preventative measures instead of having to take him out. And that was my main point. Why can't we just continue to take preventative measures and be proactive instead of waiting if something tragic occurred? So that's all I had to say. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Dan Esposito, Lauren's husband. No relation. And I wasn't able to hear what the earlier speakers stated, but I'm sure it's in the vein of the rapport that Officer Lynch has built with our children offers dividends not only now but in the future. The conduits of information from kids and young people to people in a position of authority is vital. And I think Vin spends every day trying to build that rapport and trying to build that trust. I see him doing door checks in the morning. I see him speaking to the kids every opportunity he gets. He's in the parking lot providing security in the morning. And there are other ways to save the money that the Finance Board is seeking to save. Just looking at the budget very quickly, we have an undesignated fund balance of nearly $5 million. It's 10.2% of general expenditures. I mean, healthy by anybody's standards. With an undesignated fund balance of that level, to suggest that we're going to remove Officer Lynch from our school is absurd, in a word. We spent $7 million on the acquisition of the golf course, and it's providing little, if any, use to the town at the present time. Whereas Vin is providing security and peace of mind for the parents every single day that he's there. Lastly, Sandy Hook. What could have stopped that? I'm out of my depth. But I do know that someone shooting back was something that was missed there, and it's unfortunate because it's the only thing that would have stopped that quick enough to spare a life. We have that. We have Officer Lynch there, and the last thing he's ever going to want to do is fire his weapon. But by the same token, if we have someone with a machine gun breaking through the front doors, I'm glad Vin is there to protect our kids. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Marge Kaniusik, and I'm a parent at Beecher. I have a daughter at Beecher. And I just want to say I so appreciate the police force here, and I absolutely appreciate Officer Lynch. He is invaluable to our community and to the children at the school. The positive influence he has on the children is really important. And I want to say I have lived in other cities in this area, including Hamden and West Haven, and every dollar that I pay toward my taxes is a bargain. It's a bargain for such an excellent school and an excellent community and an excellent police force. And I think that we are remiss in not supporting that. If it means that we have to pay more in taxes, so be it. This community wants police. We want excellent police work. We know what happens when you don't have support with the police. So I so appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard?
Hello, Paul Testa, 9 High Street. I mean, it's kind of hard to follow what everyone has said, but honestly, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're even considering this measure. The number one priority should be the safety of our children at the school, at both schools. I know Vinny, we all love Vinny. A lot of us here are Beecher parents, so we're not involved with the high school yet, but it's absolutely ridiculous. There's got to be a way with the Beecher board, with the Board of Finance, that we could make this work. This drastic step is just, it's mind-boggling to me. You know, we do not want to be reactive here, kind of like what Dan said. God forbid something happens and we move Vinny because Woodbridge couldn't find the money to keep him there. It just seems ridiculous. Number two, I know Woodbridge has a pretty good relationship with the police force. Everyone here watches the news. You see how the police are treated across this country. And a lot of the reason that is because children don't know the police. They don't know them. They see them as bad people. They're coming to get us. Not here. Vinny, my kids know Vinny, they love Vinny, as someone said earlier. I'm sure the same thing is at the Amity Junior High. We are fostering that bond going forward. So we don't have the issues that some other towns or some other cities do, because our kids know that the police are good. And so I don't think we should even consider, ruining that for money that Woodbridge has a lot of money, and I'm sure we could make it work. There's got to be a way to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just speak. I didn't sign up. I'm sorry.
I don't want to cut you off, Reggie.
That's okay. I didn't sign up.
I didn't either. Ed Martaccio, 11 Burma Road. I'd like to thank the wonderful police department for the work they do, first of all. It's phenomenal. There's officers in the room right now who took me out of my house in an ambulance last June, so. I am a little confused at whether we have a budget problem or we have a staff shortage. I won't ask the question, but I'll address both. If it's budget, I, like many before me, believe we could find the money somewhere. I have 2 children at Beecher now. I'll have 1 at the high school next year. If it's a staff shortage, I mean, I don't want to point fingers, but shame on whoever has allowed the staff shortage to occur. I know Vinny. I've had 3 children at Beecher. One's now in middle school. She'll be in high school next year. I know that Vinny, although he is assigned to the school, is available for any emergencies in town. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. So that being said, I don't see it as the town as one guy who can never be called on to do police duties. It seems like he would be available during his shift. If it is a staff shortage and there's officers who are able to work an extra shift, that could maybe be, we could find the money in the budget for that. But lastly, I will say, and I don't know how well this will go over in the room, but there is no substitute for an armed law enforcement officer in a school when there's a problem. And I know Sandy Hook was brought up earlier. I think we would be remiss without at least mentioning it. If we had an officer at the school that day, the story might have read differently, and we might not even be having this discussion now. So, thanks for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Rich Monaco. I'm a police officer for almost 30 years here in Woodbridge. I know these good people here. I was at the meeting last Tuesday. We kind of ambushed the board. And they saw the face of the department really for the first time in a long time. It should have been done a long time before that, to let them know exactly how we feel and how it really is. They did what we asked. They did it, by the SROs, by the outside people who are very vital, and that's why we're here today, because of the outside people, the threat of that. But they did what we asked. Vinny, Scott, whatever name you want in those schools, they're the first line defense. And when they call, when something's happening, we all go out. And I'm not a hero or anything, but I'm going to go in there. I'm going to try to destroy anything that's in there, threatening those children, along with every police officer here. And you're going to get a big response, but that takes a little time. So you need those guys to delay that. And I'm going to do that because first, it's my job, it's moral, and I want it done for my kids. Along with that goes staffing, which, like I said, they tried to help patrol. They did just what we asked. And then, so you got to find a way to, keep them in the schools. That's what I could say. They didn't do anything wrong. They're trying to augment, and it's up to you guys to find the money and to keep them in the schools. They are vital, and the police force is vital. I mean, their words to us the other night were, your safety means our safety, and they're right. And it's a thin line. It's a very thin line. We run thin. Woodbridge isn't immune. You see the world. It's what it is, and Woodbridge is included in it. And that's what I can say, and I thank the board. I thank all you listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard?
May I speak
Of course.
Hi, Nancy Luciano, 23 Spring Valley Road. I have a son in Beecher right now. I have a son who's a graduate of Beecher. He's here. To remove Officer Lynch from the school would be devastating for many reasons. I'm a public school teacher. I have to walk through a metal detector every day to get into my school. To say that Beecher is a fortress because it has new front doors is a false reality. The dangers to our kids are not just a front door. To say that the police car, some people don't like seeing the police car there, that was mentioned at the other meeting, is a joke. It's like having a guard dog. No one's going to break into a house that has a guard dog sitting in the window. I could speak about Officer Lynch for hours about how phenomenal he is. The DARE program, having the relationship with students. My son's here. He's going into the high school next year. He went through Officer Lynch's program. He's devastated to think that the school wouldn't have him in the building. So I just really want you guys to think about what we could do to make this work and keep him where he needs to be and to keep our children safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard?
David Lober, 35 Weppawag Road. For a lot of people talk tonight, and what I haven't heard is anybody say, we don't want a police officer there. I also haven't heard anybody say it's too expensive to have a police officer there. What I heard at the Board of Finance meeting was take money out of the police budget. I think, listening to all these parents, we have to realize that what we're paying for is peace of mind. And in the uncertain world that we have and the horrible things that have happened and the horrible things that possibly could happen, although we don't want them to happen, having a police officer in the school is peace of mind. And I think that just looking at pure dollars is not the entire picture. And in a budget as large as ours, we should think about where we could find money to support that school research officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard?
Just say one quick thing.
Sure.
What I heard tonight, everybody was supportive of Vinny and everything else, so I think we owe Vinny a nice round of applause. So thank
Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard? Is there a motion to go into executive session to address the safety issues related to the SROs?
I make a motion to enter executive
Second.
session.
Second. All those in favor? Unanimous. So, I'm sorry?
Be easier for us to move.
Yeah, why don't we do that? So if you would excuse for a few moments, we just need to talk about some of these issues privately, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Remind everyone that, once again, the reason why we were considering these in a public forum and wanted public comment is because we were presented, as was suggested by Detective Monaco, that there were a number of officers that raised some serious safety concerns to us, and they were fearful of the position that they were being placed in, being short several officers to fill all the patrol slots. And obviously it's a safety to our citizens as well. So we were very concerned about that, and in light of the fact that we knew, although at the time we had this meeting, we weren't sure exactly what the budget cut was going to be. Obviously every department knew that that budget cut was coming, so we had to kind of figure out ways in which we can work within the constraints that we have and the personnel that we have, and that's why we were looking at avenues to support those open positions. And reaching that conclusion, there were a number of areas that we had assigned that were potential areas to look at for redeployment to fill those immediate needs. Obviously, there's enormous support for having an SRO at Beecher. I think it's fair to say, after discussing this with the other board members in executive session, the SRO at both schools should remain at the schools until the end of this fiscal year, which is June 30th, and that won't be any interruption with the services that are currently present. I think it's fair to say that we need to fill those spots urgently in patrol, and we would ask the chief to reassign the officer in the statewide narcotics task force back to patrol. There are 2 new recruits that were hired who we won't be able to utilize on patrol until 2018. And I would imagine that at that point we can reassess when they come on board, whether we can reassign someone to statewide narcotics task force. Is there any other point that anyone feels that I missed addressing?
I'd like to just echo the comments, though, because I've had children go through Beecher, and I firsthand or secondhand through my children experienced what the DARE program did and Officer Lynch has done. And so no one here was taking any comments or taking any actions as a result of inappropriate or unsatisfactory feelings towards the officers at the respective schools. It was primarily motivated for the safety of the officers, and I think that's one of our main concerns. And so we took some action, but we didn't take it unilaterally. We wanted to hear from the public, and I thought Chairman Burke did an excellent job suggesting that we continue it to today to get feedback from the public. And I think the turnout has been reflective of what some of us expected to get, but it's still a reality of what we have to deal with. So I think the action that we're asking the chief to take is appropriate, and I hope you share our feelings.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank Officer Lynch. I think we're very lucky as a community to have this incredible person filling that slot. And I had a chance to look at the petition. At the time I looked at it, the numbers kept on growing. There were about 296 people that signed the petition and probably 100 people that commented. And I think he should be proud of the job he's doing.
And I was approached at the post office, I was approached at the diner, I was approached at the school. We wanted to make sure you guys were part of this, and it's a process going forward. We're not going to do things unilaterally. We do have to make decisions at times, but I'm glad that you're all here and we were able to hear what you had to say.
So as it relates to filling those patrol openings, one will be from the officer assigned to statewide narcotics task force. And we would also ask you to begin the task of searching for candidates to fill another patrol position from a group of people that are certified.
To get out in the field as soon as possible.
And
one other matter too is that if I'm not mistaken, one of the speakers identified it. Part of the reason of having an SRO at the school is to fulfill those duties, but they are still accessible by the chief in emergency situations if something were to arise. So if there are officers that are responding and need backup, the officers from the schools can and should be called to protect their brother and sister officers. And so we're making sure the chief is aware that he has that discretion to reassign on an emergency basis type of thing.
And finally, there were issues that came up unrelated to this immediate, to filling these immediate vacancies were issues regarding next fiscal year in our budget. I understand that Amity has placed the Amity SRO within their budget. We are asking Beecher to place the SRO in their budget. I think it's appropriate to have the SRO out of the police department budget. As it stands right now, that is that payment of an SRO comes out of the group of men that we can use or women we could use for patrol. And we obviously have a significant shortage. Obviously, there seems to be enormous community support. I would expect that would be a positive result. Chief, is there anything that you'd like to add as far as some of the discussions that we've had?
No, just, we've had concerns, over the past weeks, but more so, especially when the concerns were expressed by the members last week. But we all realized, the concerns of our officers, our community, our students, we're all in this together. We're all looking to work together with the Board of Finance, the police commissioners, and with the Board of Eds, the First Selectman, and the Board of Selectmen. And they're trying to work with us to balance all issues involved in this, in the current environment that we're in. But through everyone working together and being open-minded and listening to each other, as you saw tonight, we took a step in the right direction, and we'll continue to progress that way. And thank you all for your support.
I would just like to reiterate what Chairman Burke said, but I want to be explicitly clear that these events or these decisions that we're making were really, as Officer Monaco mentioned, were really as a result of our commission meeting on Tuesday night. I've been on this commission for a few years, and I have never had as many police officers attend our meeting as we did the other night. And every one of them voiced their displeasure in the situations that we were putting them in. And I felt that the overall safety of the community was possibly at risk. And that was the impression that I got after listening to our officers, our uniformed officers, voice their opinions on their staffing and the staffing levels and the shortages that we had. So that's why this became such an important decision to make for us, because we were listening to the officers, we were complying with what they felt was in their best interest and in the town's best interest, and this certainly was not meant in any way, shape, or form to demean or diminish anything that the SRO officers were doing. But as a commission, almost unilateral, actually the next morning we found out that our budget had been reduced, so one kind of fed off of the other. But again, this is nothing. This is not meant in any way to diminish anything that anybody was doing at either school. So.
Thank you, everyone, for their comment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Thank you all.
Thank you.